You are listening to Love, Light, Lonnie, the podcast. I'm Lonnie Nishiyama, and join me as we discover the gifts that live within all of us and how these gifts bring us together to love, help others, inspire, and of course, vibrate higher. Welcome to Love, Light, Lonnie. Hi, everyone. We are here with Love, Light, Lonnie, and I'm Lonnie, of course. We are with the beautiful, magical, enlightening James Simmons.
Wow, thank you. I'm going to take you everywhere I go.
Okay, great. No, please
all
do.
Of my introductions.
We have a lot of fun together. He is my friend, and I brought him on this podcast today because I thought it would be very fitting for someone, especially coming out of COVID, but just in general for us all getting sick lately and dealing with a lot of stuff. He is a medical professional. I'll let you explain, I guess, what you do, but
sure.
If you'd like to, go ahead.
Of course. So I am, I guess I'm technically Dr. James Simmons. So I'm a doctorally prepared nurse practitioner. So not to be confused, I'm very proud to be a nurse. So as a nurse practitioner, I'm a hospitalist. So What I do is like what you think of a physician doing in a hospital. So internal medicine, general medicine stuff. And I worked, in the hospitals and in the critical care units all through COVID. It was a lot. So I'm actually on my 9th year of doing that as a nurse practitioner, but it's sort of a second life.
It is. What was the first life?
First life was, interestingly, my original degree is in broadcast journalism, and I loved it, and I thought it was really great and amazing. But growing up biracial and queer and fat in the Midwest in the 80s and 90s, you're not exactly running around telling people like, I want to be a nurse, right? Like I was already like getting teased and beat up, whatever. So I happened to also be good at this journalism thing. So I was like, all right, well, I'm going to stick with journalism. I like writing. I like broadcasting. I like doing all this stuff.
Right. Actually, and broadcasting is kind of how we met in classes and doing projects together as hosts. So that's been amazing. And he has a wonderful, is it a podcast or a...
I don't.
You make like these reels.
Yeah, I do.
To call it,
social media presence.
There you go.
All of this. Yeah, and there's a podcast coming.
Oh,
soon.
How exciting!
I know, it is very exciting. This is why I'm so glad you invited me here, so I can get some practice, right, and learn how to do this thing.
How to do this, and that's exactly why I brought you here today, for you to practice. So, I actually was thinking about how beautiful all your gifts are. You're very talented as a host, but you're also so intelligent and so giving to others. And since our show is about our own gifts and what we give to the world, what do you think in your heart your true gift is?
Wow. That's an
I know,
an intense question, but also a really lovely one, because I don't think we probably ask each other things like this enough. And so to think about it, I think it's sometimes hard for people to talk about ourselves too. Right?
Sure.
Because
I also, not to cut you off, but I also believe that we don't just have gifts as like being a doctor or just being a mom, like your gifts are something else, and then they get carried over and transfer over into those things.
Absolutely. And they transfer over into so many different facets of our life. I think once you're really open to receiving what that gift is and really understanding it in yourself. And I know this is going to sound kind of weird and very like social media, but I feel like one of my gifts, or my biggest gift, is people open up to me. I have a relatability, and which also feels sort of weird to talk about, but whether I'm talking about politics or talking to someone about, hey, you or a loved one has cancer,
right?
Or, during COVID, so many conversations with families were on FaceTime, right? So we're with patients in the hospital, but we couldn't, they couldn't be there. So we're having conversations with patients on FaceTime, and patients and their families were saying things like, wow, no one's ever explained it to me that way. Or thank you for really understanding where I'm coming from. Or, even friends and family, even through mediums like this, right? I do these goofy videos on social media all the time, but so many people will flood my DMs afterwards just saying like, thank you. I was so paranoid and freaked out, but the way you explained it really helped. And so I am not the smartest doctorally prepared nurse practitioner out there. Like I am a very good medical provider, but I am not the best. But I think where I do shine is my ability to sort of translate those complicated and scary medical things into just real talk with people, and they get it even through like a screen or on a podcast.
And through a podcast, which you're going to create, is going to be amazing. But I have to agree with that, because one of the first things that drew me into your energy when I first met you was your relatability and your empathetic energy. Like, I felt like when I talked to you, you just kind of got me, and like we were on the same page. I want to stop saying like so much right now.
Okay. But I agree. I totally agree. I like agree.
Okay,
I like agree.
And we do agree on a lot of things in life, or maybe even disagree, but you always have that ability to make someone else feel safe in that space of discussion. And there's no judgment there, which is a big thing for me. I also think that your gifts probably were, you were born with them, but they probably were harnessed over time, good or bad, whatever situations you were in. What truly inspired you to go into this field? I know you said you were great at broadcasting, but then you felt this pull to go towards the medical field to help people. What inspired you to do that?
I think there's two types of people in work, and you use the word inspire. I'm one of the type of people who needs to be inspired by what I do every day. And I think there are some people who can just go to work, make money to live and provide for their families, but then they get their inspiration outside of work. And I think those are the two types of people. And I think what I realized is that this gift of relatability, and I'm kind of a science medical nerd anyway. Like I really love that stuff.
I kind of am too.
Yeah, I think it's super fun. Like I'm the nerd who's totally like, Chris is like, what should we watch tonight? Chris is my partner. What should we watch tonight? And I was like, there's a new documentary on Science Channel, or whatever. Like,
and is he on board with that?
He'll be like, you can watch that when I fall asleep. He's like, I want to watch the new like Drag Race or whatever,
right? Exactly,
something like that.
Exactly.
So, but I think that I just realized, like, while I loved journalism and I still do, and I really love broadcasting and media and all of this stuff, what I do on a daily basis, I needed to be with people and I needed to feel inspired by it. And I think being someone who's not uncomfortable to have the conversations when people are at their lowest and they're sickest and they're in the most pain, I find inspiration from that. I find almost like a joy in being able to hopefully be like a little bit of light to someone in those moments. And so I really felt called towards nursing. Like that's what nurses do. That's who we are at our core. And I just couldn't stop hearing that calling.
You couldn't stop hearing it. And I actually totally appreciate everything that nurses do. When I was having both of my babies, and I had 2 C-sections, the first one was super rough. I was in there for a week.
Oh my gosh.
And I know, a lot of complications. I was trying so hard,
Right.
And then the second baby, I was like, C-section? Yes. What date? What time? I'll be there.
You're like, just check.
Sign me up. And so but what really made the experience beautiful with my first child, and also just supported, was from the nurses. They were phenomenal, and I love them so much. And what you do is like you're someone's therapist while taking care of them medically, while reporting to everyone else that needs to hear it. So it's family members, doctors, everybody. So it's a blessing, and we are all grateful. So thank you for everything that you and everyone else has done, especially during these times.
Yeah.
And I heard you say that you are sometimes a light for people or help people and understand what's happening to them. Has this made you a little more spiritual or less spiritual or more, I don't know. Ever since I've become more spiritual, I look at life differently. Like money's important. All these things are great. But at the end of the day, when I'm taking my last breath in this human body, I'll remember the memories, the love, like everything I had with my family. That's important to me. So, has this profession made you more or less connected?
I think absolutely more connected to that sort of spiritual side. And I grew up, I'm actually a pastor's kid. So I grew up, my mom was a United Methodist minister for a really long time before she retired. She interestingly was also a nurse before that. She changed careers later on in life. And there's something about being with someone at that moment where people talk about it being a transition, from sort of this life to whatever other life there is. And there's something about that moment that is an absolute undeniable. There is a greater power. There is source. There is
A God or some
a
whatever you
God,
believe
whatever
in.
word you want to
Yes.
put on it, right? There is
Yeah.
something there,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't help but feel that when
Wow.
you're around someone when they transition or when they die. Like it's really
Mm-hmm.
that powerful. And so even before COVID and during COVID, I mean, it happened so much.
I love that you explain that to us or your point of view from being in the hospital, because that's not something that most pedestrians get to experience.
Mm-hmm.
So although it's very painful and sad, it's also there's something beautiful and peaceful in it as well.
Very much so.
And I love hearing that from you. And I've experienced it a couple times in my life, but it, actually losing my grandfather made me more spiritual than ever. I was in high school and I didn't really cling to anything, but I knew at that moment, there is something more powerful than us. There's a higher power or energy out there that is guiding us and loving us, and all this is happening for a reason.
Very, very much so.
And we are connected. And that's when I was like, I'm not going to judge people. I don't know what's happening. And I'm just going to do my best here in this body while I got this time.
While I have it. Right?
While I have it.
No.
And something else that I heard you say earlier was your inspiration, yes, to become a nurse, but that your mother was a nurse as well. Do you think that played a role in it a bit? Or even you were saying growing up and kind of being bullied or picked on or feeling really different. Did that make you or inspire you to go into this field as well?
Very much so. It absolutely inspired me to go into this field because my mom's a total bad arse, right? My mom's great, even though she drives me crazy. I feel like
I think that's every mom,
right? Like every parent does, right?
Love you, mom,
right? Like your parents just drive you crazy. Like that's sort of their job on some degree, but also my mom just really kicked butt in a lot of things that she did in life, despite traumas and things that she had to deal with in her life. And so it was really inspirational for me when she would tell us stories, coming home from the hospital about and she was a pediatric ICU nurse. So she had just crazy stories with kiddos.
Oh, I'm sure.
And I couldn't, I very much do adults very well and older adults in particular. I actually really love geriatrics, but kids and talking about kids dying or kids being sick, I just don't handle it very well, right? I can't.
I don't think I could either as a mother.
No. I don't know how people do it, but my mom did it and she did it so great. And so I think some of that was really inspiring about how my mom was just sort of always on this mission to help people and just give back. She had really instilled in us kids a lot of value about how leaving the world just a little bit better than you found it, and I try to do that with my dishes in the sink too, leaving the kitchen a little bit cleaner than you found it, leaving the world and leaving people a little bit better than you found it, particularly in this world we're living in right now, right? We're so polarized and everything's so crazy right now. But if you are just bringing sort of your light and energy, and I like how you said vibrate a little higher, if we all just bring that to someone, and I get paid to do that in the hospital environment when people are at their sickest, to just sometimes I dance in the hospital room just to make people laugh a little bit, even if I'm having to give them bad news. Sometimes I think that energy can really be such a difference maker in people's lives.
A difference maker. And you actually have a gift of gab and a gift with words, which is something that not a lot of people have. I think I do to an extent, but when I met you, I was like, thanks, dude.
See, make people laugh, right?
But when I met you, I was like, this guy, we connected right away. I feel like we became fast friends. We're let's get sushi, whatever. And I've always just really admired that about you. And I do want to bring up a little something. Everybody, James is engaged.
Why? Whatever do you mean?
Ding!
Isn't this something?
After 9.5 years of dating.
I know. Can you believe that? Which in gay land is 20 years.
Oh, really? Is it that
Well, I suppose that's kind of like an old joke, but
Yeah.
I think before marriage was even legal, right? Let's
That's
just
true.
back it up to for the longest time. Even when we met,
Yeah.
we could not have gotten married. And so
Wow.
we just, we own a house and a dog and two cars together.
Beautiful home.
Thank you very much. I always joke
Gorgeous.
that if he dies, I get his money. If I die, he gets my debt. Like, where the paperwork signed, like we're all together, whatever. It's totally fine. Neither of us, we knew we weren't going anywhere, but I happened to
Right.
be planning his 50th birthday party. And he's a very bad liar and a very bad surpriser.
Oh.
And so he managed to pull off surprising me at his 50th birthday party.
Oh, that is so sweet.
With an engagement because he
How
knew
selfless.
and he knew I'd be distracted, right? And so all our friends were going to be there anyway because it's kind of a milestone birthday for him, and they were all in on it. And he even zoomed in, like my friends and family. So like my family's watching, friends from Chicago, Omaha, whatever are watching like on Zoom. And I didn't even know. Like I was like, why is he talking so much about his own birthday or whatever? And then he turned and he got on one knee and it was the whole thing. And I ugly cried. It was great.
I love it. I saw it on Instagram. I did see it. I watched it.
It was great.
It was so beautiful. Yeah. Well, congratulations. And
thank you.
Do you feel like your gifts have transferred over into your relationship, your marriage, and taking care of your home and your dog and all of that? So, your gifts, how have you poured them into the people you love now? In your personal group, not just the people you help medically.
Mm-hmm. I think helping people medically is sort of one facet of exploring that gift, but the other one with people that you love and that are in your life are really. I've become a better listener. I think I've become a lot more patient about trying to understand where people are, and that, I think that a computer monitor is a really good example of where I'm going here. So if you're looking at the front of a computer monitor, you see what's on the screen, you see the words, you see maybe there's a video playing, whatever. If you ask someone who's sitting behind the monitor to describe the monitor, they're going to say, I don't know, it's a big black piece of plastic.
Right.
Right. But you're both looking at a monitor. So you're both not wrong. Right. Describe the computer monitor in front of you. One person's going to say a big black piece of plastic. The other person's going to be like, oh, it's pretty. And it's got all these moving things and it's video and sound and whatever. And I can move this thing here and there. But you're both describing computer monitor, but you're having very different experiences. And I think this sort of like, I don't know, empathy, if you will, that comes along with nursing, and that part of this gift in being able to sort of translate complex medical talk in a relatable way is kind of a partially being empathetic. And what I've realized through all of this is that I need to bring that empathy into my relationships with particularly my husband, right? Because, everybody out there in a relationship, you might be arguing about something and you guys think you're arguing about the same thing, but you're not. You're arguing about something completely different.
Totally.
Or you're bringing up some old trauma, something they said 6.5 years ago in the drive-thru at McDonald's, like whatever. And you're both talking about a computer monitor, but you're both looking at it very differently. And so that just calming down, slowing down, listening, realizing I need to be, empathetic to him, even though he's the person that's most present in my life and therefore the one who will annoy me the most, which is everything. But I also need to exercise the greatest compassion and care with him as well.
The greatest compassion and care. I'm trying to channel that right now because I too have been with my man for about 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Married for 7 almost. So it's just, of course it's not easy all the time. It's a lot of work, marriage. But when you do have that empathy, that compassion, that connection, that love, and it all starts with communication and that again, empathy, compassion. I think it just helps the love to continue on, grow and change and grow and change. And you have to kind of grow together. But if you both can be on the page of I'm trying, then I think we're good. I wanted to ask you if you could give any sort of advice or tip in life for all of us to vibrate higher from your perspective. What would that be?
I'm going to steal this from Jay Shetty. I don't know if anyone knows who Jay Shetty is or listened to him. He used to be a monk and he left the big monk world and sort of become like an inspirational speaker. And he does these little like mini meditations that I do most mornings. And I'm going to steal this one from him because it really sat with me a few weeks ago, about slowing down. I think we think we're going to vibrate higher. We think we're going to do more, even if it's focusing on impacting the world or getting rid of our negative self-talk or being the best parent or partner or child or whatever that we can be. Mm-hmm. I think we think more means more, mm-hmm. when actually it often means less. And so sometimes you need to do all of the things. Sometimes you need to be a little bit busy, but mostly you actually need to just slow down and, multitasking. You're not, if you're trying to do 4 things at one time, you're actually not getting any of them done very well. Right. But slowing down and doing that one thing at a time, or just slowing down and being, or just slowing down and realizing is like, if I'm slow and focused, I actually end up accomplishing more if that's still what's really important to you. So,
and I love that. And I think that if we do slow down, we are more present. And then we also stop living in so much anxiety, because mm-hmm. a lot of us have, okay, here's this little negative thought or negative energy, or that person kind of disturbed me. So I'm just going to stay busy and keep working and work out yep. and clean and then ignore it. And then they all build up. And then before you know it, before bed, I'm like, and so and then I'm like, where's that cocktail?
And then I can't sleep. Right. Well, right. Yeah, I need alcohol or whatever.
Or something to chill me out. Right. But I'm like.
Then you can't sleep. And then you wake up in the morning without sleep.
Right.
And the anxiety's still there. And then it's just the next day's anxiety piles on top of that.
Right. Yeah. And it's better to just slow down, be present, mm-hmm. recognize everything in front of you. I am so bad at doing that, mm-hmm. but I am glad you brought it up today, because that is a way for all of us to be present, more connected, more understanding of one another, and for us to vibrate higher. So thank you, James Simmons, for that beautiful advice and lesson in life. Yes, and we are so grateful to have you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on Love Light Lonnie. Go out there, inspire, and vibrate higher. Thank you.